So I'm Gary Bolton from ADTRAN, and we're a top 3 global provider of broadband infrastructure solutions. We're in Huntsville, Alabama, which is a tech community, but it's about 250,000 people in our city limits. And a couple years ago, we started seeing that our community was starting to move to Chattanooga, which was a gigabit community. And so, of course, our mayor said we have to be the next gigabit community, just like Lexington. So that's what it takes, is to make an aspirational statement. And so what happened was, we had a lot of service providers in our area, but we were very far down on their priority list to provide gigabit services. And so, we had to take matters in our own hand as a community. And so the Huntsville utility stepped up and said, okay, we'll provide the fiber infrastructure, and Google came in and said, we'll provide the retail services for that. And basically, I'm just rolling off as the immediate past chair of the Chamber of Commerce, and we had been doing economic development at about $150 million of economic development per year of capital investment. And in the last 2 years, we've had $5 billion of economic development. So what I can tell you is that fiber and broadband services brings jobs. From our studies at the Fiber Broadband Association, we've seen that communities with gigabit services have 64% more prosperity than those that don't. And I think anybody in this room can understand that. And so one of the programs that we've had for several years now at ADTRAN is what we call enabling communities, connecting lives. And it's really to try to go around and help communities be able to take care of themselves and provide that broadband. So I'm just going to show you guys a short video of one of those communities.
Many people in a rural community oftentimes feel, when it comes to technology infrastructure, that they will always be behind. They will always have to accept, in some ways, second best.
Across the nation right now, little girls and boys are being told, this is your ceiling. What we're finding out is when you empower them and you tell them anything is possible, you find that inside of those are very, very different people.
Love will make it right.
Rural cities across the globe are waking up. They're introducing themselves to the world, and their voices are powerful and galvanizing. Our goal at ADTRAN is to help. From their classroom to their wine vineyards, Dayton, Oregon is using 10 gig fiber optics to revolutionize their town, and it all starts with education.
A lot of our students in Dayton come from families who have been here for quite some time, second generation, third generation. So it's a place, it's a community where people want to be.
We have a love like no.
The whole idea was to look at a single community with the eye always towards scaling. But every community, every state in the nation has got little towns like Dayton. They've got big cities. The current forms of academics that exist out there aren't working.
We started an innovation council this year, and out of that we met Kathy Tate from Online Northwest. We're talking about being innovative, we're talking about reimagining schools and how we teach. She came forward and said, I want to be a part of that.
We at Online Northwest had put in a fiber optic line that not only enabled the students to all of a sudden have access to a lot more curriculum and be able to utilize that within the classroom, but actually bring the whole community on board.
And from the schools, we can move to the community, where everyone from store owners to Dayton's world-famous wineries are discovering the benefits of fiber optics.
Ultimately, it's about building new opportunity within the local economy. We're building the next generations of the makers and creators to support our agricultural community.
We're able to provide a world-class experience in a rural area. One of the great parts is we can be up in the hills of Eola, where they have just these beautiful vineyards and beautiful wineries, and they can have hundreds of megabits, if not a gigabit, if they choose.
And this tech-based system is introducing Dayton as a golden standard for other small towns. A perfect example for the potential of fiber optics from education to application.
When you start looking at communities here in Oregon and communities across the nation, there are all those little small to medium-sized towns, and many of those have lost their way. If we're good at what we're doing, I believe that the culture of innovation that we're teaching will evolve itself.
You can tell people are on the verge of trying to look at education differently. We're kind of creating that model with the hope that others will be asking that question. How can we have what they have in Dayton? And we're excited and we're proud to be leaders in that, but it is tough and it takes a lot of grit and perseverance and passion. And we do have that here in this little community.
And there's no doubt about that. Grit, passion, and tech. A perfect formula for progress. And one we're bringing to communities all around the world.
You said you'd never let me go.
One thing that I thought was really important about that video is that I want to constantly make sure that we're humanizing these stories. It's really easy when we're in Washington, D.C. to talk about them like case studies, and they have a very real impact for people that, again, have no voices in Washington, D.C.